Welcome back to Impact Show. I'm here in Lehigh, Utah with Joe Megibow, the CEO of Purple. So excited to have him on this show, and I'm excited for you, the viewer, to really understand the story. Joe has gone through an amazing revolution with his career, and he's landed at this incredible company where he's going to talk a little bit about innovation, digital marketing, and how to drive value into what we do every day and we almost forget about, which is sleep. Without sleep, we don't feel, we don't eat, we don't live life. And sleep is one of the most important things, and I was so compelled to interview Joe about so many different topics that matter to the Internet Marketing Association. Joe, welcome to our show. I'm super stoked to have you. Before we get into the interview about mattresses, tell me a little bit about your background. Tell our audience who you are and where you came from.
Sure. I was born destined to sell mattresses. No, not really. Aren't we all? Doesn't everyone want to just be a mattress salesman in their youth?
Yeah.
So no, I took a very sort of meandering journey into this space and into this role. I actually am I'm an engineer at heart.
Okay.
I grew up a tinkerer. My favorite thing to do with any toy was to take it apart and see if I could put it back together better. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I did.
Right.
Sometimes it left in shambles. But I've always been someone who loves to build things and,
Right.
and an engineer at heart. I went to engineering school, electrical engineering, and really set off my career with that love.
So tell me about the engineering tissue. Was that from a parent or someone that you inherited that from? I mean, what was the tipping point that got you into tinkering with stuff?
I think curiosity is something you're either born with or you're not.
Right.
And there are things you can learn, but I think that kind of curiosity was just something I got. I actually came from a family of artists and musicians, so
Okay. That's kind of like the total reverse,
it
right?
is.
Different side of the brain.
I am the black sheep of the family.
Okay.
I had this crazy, business degree. I couldn't actually do something meaningful with my life and just be a musician.
Right,
so,
right.
That said, my family is some extremely talented musicians, it's following your passion. I think is one of the most important things to do in any career.
Were you good at math? Because I feel like engineering has to have some calculations to it.
Math is helpful in engineering. It certainly is, and math came easily to me.
Yeah.
You can't grow up in a musical family without having
Sure.
a passion for music as well.
Right.
And that was always a tension for me. I was an active musician myself.
Right.
I just decided not to
Tell me
pursue a
some of the
career there.
music influences in your family. Was it brothers and sisters or your parents? Like, where did the music come from and what kind of instruments? Just curious, the art side.
It was a mix. My mother is a classically trained musician. She played in the local symphony when I was growing up, and I grew up every month going to watch her perform. And my father was actually in college a disc jockey and had
Wow.
always been a massive fan of music of really all genres.
Right.
Just a lover of eclectic music styles.
That's
and
amazing.
So I was surrounded
Yeah.
with everything from truly the classics to jazz, and New Age was really taking off at that time, and
Sure.
my father fell in love with that too.
Did your parents meet around music? I mean, is that what was like the spark?
Indirectly.
Right.
My father's full-time profession is psychiatry,
Okay.
and my mother was taking a class in music therapy.
Wow.
And happened to be at a location my dad was doing some work, and it was music therapy that brought them together.
Super cool. So you get the engineering degree, and tell
Yeah.
me how your career started to shape in your life.
It's funny. So I entered the workforce in the very early 90s, and at that time, the internet certainly existed, but
Yeah.
the World Wide Web had not.
Internet 1.0.
Exactly. So this is pre Netscape, pre
Sure.
NCSA Mosaic, pre web.
It was like you and probably the government on the internet at the time. That was, and maybe
Exactly.
Victor Cho of Evite.
Exactly. Hi, Victor. So I at that time, being in a technology role, and my first job was in General Motors and manufacturing, and I was supporting the engineering side of the organization. It was kind of it was a very tactical job.
Sure.
In a lot of ways.
Right.
And I was watching the marketing and business people have their careers take off,
Right.
where I was not seeing that kind of growth opportunity.
Sure.
So I decided I needed to make a change and sell out and go to business school because there's no future in this tech side of the business.
Right.
Turned out there was a future on the tech side of the business,
Absolutely.
but who saw that coming? So I went to business school to get out of tech.
Right.
As an engineer, I found the University of Chicago, which is now Booth, which was a very quant rigorous program, which I loved. And interesting thing happened there. I discovered marketing at a quant business school.
Wow.
And really, a lot of really quantitative or analytical marketing grew up at Chicago.
Yeah.
One of my professors there, Professor Peter Rossi, taught a class called Data-Driven Market Analytics.
Right.
And that class really opened my mind to the idea that marketing is not sort of the Don Draper finger in the wind, what's the pulse, that there is a way to actually apply quantitative analysis to marketing effectiveness.
100%.
And I'd never considered that before. And it was, wait, you mean I have this passion for the arts and marketing, and I'm a data guy, I can combine those two things?
So you were truly one of the first in analytics, if you think about that. Because out of a quant school, you discovered marketing. That's almost the reverse.
Yeah, it is not the typical way in. By no means am I the first. I mean, at this point, if you think about it, loyalty programs, led by things like grocery and airlines,
casinos,
were really taking off. So there was this, and then you had all of the credit card companies that were really, and the business is built on top of them to really start looking at consumer spend data. So there was already pre-web. There was already this explosion of consumer data that was starting to happen. And what it meant is a lot of the work was CPG and pricing studies and things like that, but you could actually do real analysis against, is this promotion moving the needle,
100%.
or how are consumers reacting to offers, which was a lot about quantifying marketing. So this is early 90s. I graduated business school in 96, so the web is just starting to happen now. And I'm coming out with this
Alta
idea.
Vista. Remember Alta Vista?
Of course.
Someone had that domain name, like an 11-year-old kid, and got some crazy amount for it. That was
and before Alta Vista, I mean, even the early days of Yahoo wasn't a search engine. I mean, it was all curated content.
It was,
So, a good friend of mine and I, who started at the same time, early days of the web, so this was before Netscape launched, we'd go home at night on our modems, and we'd come in excited to see if either of us had found any new web pages yet.
Wow.
Because we were pretty sure we had visited them all.
Was it like 2400 Mbps, like slow?
I think I was still on a Hayes 1200 baud modem at that point,
man.
But I ultimately upgraded.
You know that dial tone, and then when it went through, it was like, yes, I'm on the internet.
Exactly.
I mean, this is huge.
A sound that our kids will never understand.
No, but gosh.
But yeah,
in fact, let's play that sound right now. Okay. Yeah, no, we're playing it right now. Okay, got it. Okay.
So, we were in on the early days.
100%.
I mean, the idea of even suggesting you visited all websites.
Right.
How far
Imagine
we've come.
if the internet was the way it was then now. Look at what's happened with the advent of social media, these news sites, and what's fact and what's not, right? I mean, there's Wikipedia, which we know, we could pretty much trust the information on there. But imagine the internet back in 1996 through 99, where it was really the World Wide Web. Everything on there was new, it was fresh. There was nothing of a different version of what's reality, right? Like, gosh, I would do anything to go back to the 1990s internet sometimes.
The idealism of our youth.
Yes, 100%.
And then we all grow up.
Yeah.
And money comes in. But I think of how much better off we still are for all the noise and the chaos right now. I mean, a business like ours would exist, but we wouldn't be talking right now.
And going back to quantum, so, in marketing, quantitative and qualitative is so important. And even before the internet, and think about this for your business, we do market research all the time, and we're going to get into Joe's business in a second, but qualitative and quantitative analysis of your customer, your profile of who you want to work with, those different personas, it's important to do that sort of research to understand what sort of product and the timing of the message will translate best among your consumers or the buying authorities of your product. But taking that to internet marketing, I mean, analytics is everything, because what happened from the late 90s into the 2000s is data started to compile, and then there was this big movement of big data, and that was a big thing where IBM and all these different tech companies started to store that data. Well, analytics companies, Josh who sold his company to Adobe, Josh James, created a fantastic company called Omniture that basically did that. It took data and it compiled quantitative and qualitative methodology to the brand, and it would be able to study different patterns. And you were able to do that early on. You took that into different businesses. Tell us about your career journey and how you came to Purple.
So, about the time that Josh was doing Omniture, and this was in late '99, I was on the founding team of a company that had a very different kind of analytic package. So the software, we renamed a few times, but ultimately we called it Tea Leaf Technology. And after a decade, sold it very successfully to IBM, and it became part of their analytic capability. Tea Leaf was a different approach to what Omniture was doing. So yeah, there's a lot of the precursor of big data and analytics and aggregation.
Right.
One of the challenges that has happened is, if you think back to the early days of the web,
right,
there was a lot of discussion on one-to-one marketing and personalization. And for all intents and purposes, it hasn't happened. I mean, yes, you've got very data-driven matches or finding a signature, so collaborative filtering, and people who bought this also bought that.
Sure. Yeah.
Or propensity to buy from buying behavior, which is one kind of personalization.
Right.
But true personalization, the way it was being idealized back then, never happened. Because we approached it like a math problem.
Right.
And the company I got involved with Tea Leaf, was a much more, call it user experience or usability view.
Sure.
What the company, and the short version is, we basically were able to record complete sessions where we could play them back almost like a movie and see exactly what the consumer did. And it turned out content matters a lot. So,
and what were those recorded sessions? Was it visitor traffic to the website, or?
Yeah, every single individual session. You got 1 million sessions to your website, we could replay all 1 million individual sessions.
Wow, okay.
Which sounds
and
like
you were going all the way through the customer journey.
The entire thing, from homepage to checkout.
Sure.
Everything they saw, everything they did. Instead of like saying, hey, I know I went to this page. I mean, I'll give you an example. I go to a page and I abandon. And you could say, okay, well, which one of my pages that have the highest abandonment rate?
Right.
Bounce rate. The question is, why? Why?
Right.
And if you could see on the page that it actually said, like, for instance, a promo appears and says, hey, here's something better.
Right.
And you're basically convincing the customer to do something different, or come to our stores, or whatever. And you would even see things like, here's a promo saying 20% off clearance, and the item's on clearance, and you're looking at it, and it's only 15% off.
Right.
And you're like, why? Well, it turns out that's 20% off clearance on this category, but not that category. But the merchants never thought about where it would show up.
And you're studying all that behavior at Tea Leaf.
So we're just studying all that behavior. And one of the things that I realized is the journey, the content, the messaging, which is the human side of marketing and personalization, was just getting lost. We were treating everything like a math problem, like how we could take a mechanistic view of doing the right thing for you. And it turned out humans matter a lot, and content matters a lot, and the art matters a lot. And we finally had a way to start quantifying that. Where and how are you getting in the way of the consumer? I mean, if you think about the web then, and frankly today, most websites suck. I mean, how often are you surfing the web, or your spouse, or your kid, and going, and you hear, darn it, where'd my basket go? Or I just spent an hour trying to do this, and now it's gone. Or that's not what I ordered. Why are we 20 years into this, and you're still hearing those exclamations all the time?
Because they're not thinking about the human aspect, which you're talking about. They're so mechanical. Think about what Joe's saying for your business. Is your business more on the mechanical side, or is there human interest to your processes? You can still have the best in tech, but also think about the human experience. Is it going to take a phone call? Is there a certain type of visualization, video, static? Those sort of elements are critical to the messaging and building trust with your audience. So those are good points.
And one of the first ways I saw that, so coming out of Tea Leaf, I went to Expedia, and I spent a couple years at one of their subsidiaries, Hotels.com, ultimately joined Expedia proper. I started there doing really what I had been doing, marketing analytics, marketing optimization, and we kept discovering opportunity.
Yeah.
And I sort of worked my way up and ultimately took over the U.S. business. Who was running the Expedia.com business.
That's out of the Pacific Northwest?
Out of Seattle, that's right, or Bellevue, Washington. But one of the early things I realized there, as you think about engaging with consumers, was how big our call center business was.
Yeah.
It was, it was like 30% of our business was going through the call center. And for a .com, I mean, it's in the name, Expedia.com, to have so much business going through the call center was eye-opening to me.
Right.
And part of it was just that. It was the human touch. Consumers almost always started on the website. And the minute you pivoted and realized it wasn't a failure if they called.
Right.
It was actually beneficial. Because you're booking a $10,000 cruise or a vacation at Disney and thousands of dollars.
A lot of human touch points there. Yeah.
It could be as simple as just, Sinan, I'm going to reach out and touch you here.
Oh, I'm buying.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You're going to love this property. Did you see the reviews? I know it personally. This is great.
Sure.
Don't worry. That human connection is so powerful.
Absolutely.
And websites lack that.
Yes.
And it's how do you find ways to either bring that into your business or use humans? How do you have to extend
I'm so glad you're saying this, because this frames the whole motif around the Internet Marketing Association. You would think that everything is tech, data-driven, ones and zeros. It really isn't. That helps you get closer to that human connection. And without that human connection in your business, you're probably going to be losing market share. So listen to what Joe's saying about this and challenge yourself to figure out what is that human connection point? What is that touch point in which your company, whether it's a billion-dollar company or it's a startup, think about that human connection. I think that's what's missing more than ever. I think there's just been this sort of quick throttle to the internet and digital advertising, and they just think, poof, it's just going to appear. But similar to your showroom, it's that human experience. It's that building of trust and that love and that energy and that consistency, and then the internet's there to close the deal, or it's there to start the deal.
That's right.
But it's that inner human connectivity that actually closes the deal. So just remember that.
No, and it all comes down to leverage. It's especially with humans, which are harder to scale. You can use data. And you can use listening. I'm a big believer in listening. We have countless ways that we get feedback every day. I for years, my teams, once a month, we listen to phone calls, whether live or recorded. What are we actually hearing, unsolicited? What's actually happening where we can find opportunities to improve? Data can help you automate. Things that people want to do every day, they don't want to call in for that. How do you get out of their way and make the things they want super easy, so that the things that are harder, the more higher touch things, you can actually scale and leverage and get benefit
So
from
weave
that.
your way from Expedia into Purple and talk a little bit about the human connection. It's incredible business.
So from Expedia, I next went to American Eagle Outfitters. So big difference. Expedia, a giant search engine, helping to match you, a typical retail model. They made nothing. They sold everything. So this is the highest selection of travel properties, travel options of anyone. But at the end of the day, while you are an advocate for the customer, you didn't ultimately have responsibility for the experience.
Sure.
Go to American Eagle, and it was a flip of that. Suddenly, it's our product. If they don't like it, it's our fault. If we made the wrong product, that's on us. And I loved that. I loved that. But interestingly, it also flipped the funnel. I mean, you talked about sort of, do you begin on the internet or end on the internet? All my tricks on how to optimize in a sort of commoditized, high-frequency business like travel didn't work so well at a brand like American Eagle Outfitters, because you can book a hotel room from 50 different places, hundreds of different places. If you get in the way in the customer at the point of transaction, it's a very low switching cost to go try somewhere else.
Exactly.
And that's the nature of commodities or more high frequency or high replenishment items. When you're getting more into something more fashion or something that's more emotional, top of funnel matters way more than bottom of funnel. By the time they get to the transaction, it's actually amazing how much pain the consumer will put up with. Because in their mind, the transaction's already occurred. This is the item they want, this is what they want, and they will fight through a lot of pain. A lot of the focus, though, continues to be on bottom of funnel optimization, where in reality,
Should
the
be the top,
leakage
yeah.
is at the top of
Yeah,
funnel. Am I
exactly.
actually getting them into the brand and the story in the first place, which gets back to content and the human side.
Yeah.
And I discovered that's what we had to do. And it was a really enlightening discovery.
Right.
The other thing I realized is a lot of internet businesses feel infinitely scalable, whether it's software and services or in a business like Expedia. I mean, there was always something to sell.
Right.
If we could come up with a way to grow our business by 10% overnight, you were a hero and paraded around the building.
Sure.
If you're a manufacturer
Right.
and you come up with a way to improve your business 10% overnight, you do damage.
Yeah.
Because you just suddenly sell through inventory and then you've got nothing to sell.
Exactly.
And if those are key items, all sorts of collateral damage happens.
Right, exactly.
So you've got to change the whole thinking of, hey, how do I align this with our buys and our manufacturing, and how much am I willing to commit to?
Right.
Are you sure you're going to get a 10%?
Because the front end of the business, digital marketing, hits all the way through the supply chain.
All the way through.
Right.
So
as a manufacturer.
It's a much more complex business, which is why I think a lot of people think it's crazy to be in these businesses. You know, you're making stuff and you're carrying inventory, and there's assets, and you have to align supply and demand. I loved it. I loved it. Both for the intellectual challenge, and because at the end of the day, there is something about a consumer buying a physical good, and having it add value, and connecting all the dots, and I love
and
that.
It's interesting though, because when you look at consumer travel to American Outfitter, you've got clothing, but something that we all have in common is sleep. Something we all have in common are mattresses.
That's right.
And you would think that this is a shell game of an industry where you've got this vendor and this manufacturer, and you have all these competing interests. But what you do here truly doesn't compete with anybody. Your intellectual property and how you're able to apply this to so many different industries is remarkable. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey into Purple and a little bit behind the science of the product? And then we're going to go into some marketing questions I have for you.
Absolutely. So after I left American Eagle Outfitters, I went on a journey of a variety of things. I did another startup in media, actually, which was another chance to learn a whole other aspect of business. I ended up doing some work with private equity as an operating advisor. And interestingly, this private equity firm owned Serta Simmons Bedding.
Oh, okay.
So while I didn't directly work on that account, I got to know that space a little bit.
Nice.
Spent a lot of time with retail, though, during that period. And also, it was a great education on just how private equity worked.
Oh, awesome.
And how they approach that investment. But really, through this period, I was looking for my what's next.
What's next,
and had set myself in a way that I could
Maybe
take my
not
time.
what's next. Maybe a roll-up of everything into the next. Because it seems like a lot of what you do every day has flavors from all this.
Yeah, it's funny. There's always the question of what is business success. So a quick story. A mentor of mine, a gentleman named Sam Taylor, who is CEO of Oriental Trading, who unfortunately a few years ago passed away from some very aggressive brain cancer. But Sam was a hero to everyone who knew him. And Sam pulled me aside. He had a very amazing career, ending up Oriental Trading, a Berkshire Hathaway company. He suddenly got Warren Buffett as his boss and mentor, and a very successful business. And he said to me, Joe, every day of my career, I've always had this little voice on my shoulder asking what's next. Because everything I did was always sort of moving me on to the next thing. And what am I going to do with this? And how do I continue to advance my career? And when he ended up in this role at Oriental Trading, for him, he said, I don't ask myself that question anymore.
Right.
This is the job.
Yes.
And it even shifted how he thought about building talent, because there's no succession into who's going to take my role.
Right, exactly.
And he leaned into M&A.
Sure.
If I'm not going to give away my role, I'm going to start buying or building businesses for my top talent to go run.
Right.
And changed how he thought about even his organizational structure that way.
Right.
And that was so deeply moving to me, that idea. And I've always asked myself, can I achieve that? Can I ever get into a role that I say, this could be it?
Right. And I think it's important to hear what Joe's saying, because he had a mentor. He had someone that gave him inspiration and perspective on success. And we all need mentors. And I always believe the pillars of success are personal integrity, coaches and mentors, family, and education. those 4 pillars are critical in your journey as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as a digital marketer, as a CEO. Think about that. Who's your mentor and who are you mentoring? Because that is the greatest gift to give anyone, and it's probably the greatest gift you've ever had. And honor that person's legacy as long as you can, because sometimes it's those mentions that you do that keep them alive. And so that's something really key. I'm so glad that you had that inspiration in your life. And I feel like ever since I met you and Victor Cho of Evite, of course, introduced us, I feel like this is your life's work. I very rarely meet a CEO that is so into their product, their people, their culture. You seem to interweave yourself through this business, but still stay incredibly humble. You're a family man, you've got children and a wife and a home, but you make this part of your tapestry. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, and it starts with, I mean, with the idea of finding that job. When I was looking for Purple, I had a checklist of things I was not going to waver on, and I had built sort of an economic career around me that allowed me to take the time.
Right.
I had money coming in the door. I was keeping busy. I was keeping connected in jobs that I knew weren't my forever jobs.
Right.
Mix of consulting and private equity. And it was really, for me, it was, I love B2C. Absolutely. And I really wanted to find a manufacturer, someone who actually sold a physical good.
Right.
I loved brands. I wanted something that really had the making of a lifestyle brand. I wanted a mission-driven company. I'm passionate in what I do, and I wanted to find, why does this business exist? Does it have a reason to exist? Is it something that we can really lean into?
Sure.
I wanted a business that digital was at its core.
Sure.
Not a bolt-on, not an afterthought,
Right.
but that the business likely wouldn't, it doesn't have to be a pure play, but if it weren't for digital, this business wouldn't exist. They grew up because of the internet. And it turns out it was really hard to find that combination.
Sure.
Purple hit it across the board.
Right.
I mean, this was, as you said, sort of a culmination of everything I was trying to do.
Yeah.
Here's a manufacturer of a highly differentiated product that had incredible human benefits with an incredibly satisfied customer and the makings of a brand that had already cut through. I mean, the two hardest things to do in any true consumer company is make a product people want to buy and have a brand that actually connects with consumers. And they had already proven an ability to do those two things. Everything else, not so good.
Okay, so let me ask you a question about that. You say Purple, it's got all these elements to it, but when I first thought of Purple, I thought it was a mattress manufacturer. I thought it was a catchy internet company. But then when I started understanding this is different. This is not another mattress company. I mean, tell me about this. Tell me about intellectual property. I mean, like how that works into your business, because it really does differentiate you so well in this massive marketplace.
Yeah, and if I can back up a little on just the category, because I think talking about our differentiation has to be put in that context. This is a category that was ripe for disruption. You've got an oligopoly of a few major manufacturers with very tight channel control. A opaque business model, meaning a business model that the consumer didn't really understand what they were buying, what was in the product, or why. And in this environment, out of really, it's almost by design, an almost lack of any meaningful innovation for decades. For decades. What does that mean? Not a great consumer experience. And at this time, if you looked at consumer satisfaction, I mean, mattress purchasing is kind of a grudge purchase. You do it when you have to. And walking into a mattress store ranked up there with sort of a used car dealership.
Pretty much.
Not a great experience.
No.
And the product was, I mean, what's the difference? You walk in and you see 50 mattresses and you kind of find something that, in this awkward experience in there that doesn't suck, and is a price point that makes some rational sense to you, and out the door, but you don't really understand the what or the why, as it was just a lot of nonsense terminology on things that all looked
poised for disruption.
So very much poised for disruption. Now, disruption can come in a couple ways. One is disrupt the channel, which the bed-in-the-box companies all did. Hey, what if you just don't have to go in the store at all? And to do that, what they needed to do is come up with a low cogs, easy to ship, so highly compressible, lightweight mattress, which had to be some foam core kind of mattresses, and just cut out the middleman.
Sure.
And that's what happened with a lot of bed in the box.
Right.
That is very consumer-centric, and there's a nice brand play to that. The problem with it is it sort of goes on the presumption that all mattresses are the same.
Right.
That at the end of the day, they're all kind of commodities, and you might as well buy from us.
Sure.
So we kind of backed into this from a different way. So our founders, who are incredible inventors for decades, and they are actually really the fathers of consumer gels. So when you think of like the blue gel, the ubiquitous blue gel that's in everything,
Sure.
one place you may think of it
Feels
as like
this.
the shoe inserts you see hanging in a CVS or Walgreens.
Like Dr. Scholl's.
Like Dr. Scholl's.
Okay.
So Dr. Scholl's licensed our initial technology from us.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that literally, as we invented, they own the original patents on tinted gels, evenly tinted gels, transparent gels. So the ability.
Is that what the technology is called? Gels?
So these are all synthetic gels.
Okay.
Rubbers have been around, which is an organic thing for hundreds and hundreds of years, of course. But the idea of these gels, that they invented new manufacturing techniques and new formulations, created all sorts of interesting opportunities, and nearly all of them were around cushioning or weight displacement.
Sure.
So early licensees of theirs was Dr. Scholl's.
Okay.
Nike took a license. JanSport backpacks.
Wow.
We sold millions and millions of toys. So through Hasbro and Nickelodeon and Jakks Pacific, going through the archives, I was amazed how many toys my kids had that actually were designed and made by our founders.
That's amazing. I mean, how would you put this in a toy? Like, where does this go?
Little squeezy balls, rubber balls, footballs, bouncy things.
Right.
And they even had edible tapes and all sorts of things that were really
I'm going to go through my kids' toys when I get home. I'm going to see what's
send
squishy.
You some pictures.
Yeah, I got to figure this out. Okay.
I had a few. I'm like, I had no idea.
Right. So there's numerous applications for this.
Numerous applications, from the whimsical to the cushioning. Medical was where they really began to see some significant long-term opportunity, and it really came in both the form of some medical mattresses and medical cushions. In the case of medical cushions, they had passion for carbon fiber as well, and were working on some new wheelchair designs, but what they discovered is the problem with wheelchairs isn't the frame, it's the pad, which was largely like a hammock.
Really uncomfortable, those things.
That had, at best, a little bit of foam padding inside. And as you explore what happens there from chronic wheelchair usage, you have bed sores, blood clotting, these are potentially fatal conditions.
Of course, yeah.
The opportunity for improvement was massive. And they shifted their focus there. And one of the things they discovered, the problem with gel, and like in a shoe insert, there's not much gel. It's very dense. It has a very high liquid content. It's therefore very heavy. If you were to think about like a pillow-sized solid hunk of gel, think of like a giant raw steak. I mean, it's just a very dense, heavy,
thick.
That and the displacement of gel isn't that high. So again, for a foot where you have high density, it makes sense. But as you get into larger surface area, gels on their own just don't work as well. So they discovered something they'd actually known from their physics background, that by molding it into this grid kind of thing, creates a network of columns. And it's physics called buckling column or column buckling. Basically what it is each one of the intersections of the grid can sustain a modest amount of weight, but with just anything more than it can hold just completely breaks apart, completely gives out. Think of it almost like a crumple zone in the front of a car.
And that's the squishy sensation, I feel.
And that's the squishy sensation. A network of these, so when you put hundreds or thousands of these together in a grid, weight distributes across all these columns. So if you think of like a seat cushion, which you're sitting on right
very
now,
comfortable.
The curvature and weight and pressure points of your backside get absorbed in. The network of columns support you, but it shapes and adapts. But the other interesting thing is because it's hollow, it's this network of holes, it also allows for heat and moisture to very easily dissipate. It doesn't get captured underneath. So long term, like chronic sitting, we became the best cushioning for wheelchairs. And to this day, through licensing, we actually sell millions of dollars worth of wheelchair pads every year.
It's amazing.
And we still make them here.
And you probably do this for office furniture?
So we haven't yet.
Okay.
We sell standalone seat cushions that you can put on any
your chair.
office
Okay,
furniture.
right.
But that's an example of
a
the
potential
reach
market.
we
Wow.
absolutely have.
And of course, the mattress market, which is your
So mattress started with medical beds as well.
Right.
So if you think about, perfect even weight distribution, the elimination of the thermal properties of absorbing and radiating heat, like an example of that is burn unit victims.
Sure.
Where you've got, you don't want any pressure anywhere, and you absolutely want a temperature neutral surface.
Yes.
And some of the top manufacturers out there, one of the big ones was Stryker, licensed our technology and started making really novel specialty medical beds built on our technology. This was over 2 decades ago.
It's amazing.
So, I mean, we've been at this for a long time.
Sure.
What happened with Purple is, okay, we had this amazing tech. We could mold it into, we got really good at large-scale molding of our gels. And these gels are our own invention.
Sure.
Literally, our own formulas, our own inventions. Problem is, it was expensive and slow to make, which in a medical bed, which is, 5-figure price tags, fine, but for consumer, that didn't work.
Right.
So about 6 years ago, we came up with a really novel way to make this at scale.
Right.
And that was injection molding, which is basically you have a mold, 2 plates go together, and then you shoot material inside of it. Very, very common in plastics. I mean, it's nearly every item you have has injection molding components. Large format injection molding, something the size of like a car body panel or playground equipment, is a very specialty. Exists a little bit, not much. Doing injection molding of non-rigid things, of gels, a whole nother ball of wax. Large format gels, never been done before. Never been done before. We figured out a way to do it.
Wow.
And to do it, we actually had to build our own machine.
Okay.
So we spent millions of dollars building our first machine, which is an entirely custom-built contraption that allowed us to injection mold mattresses. And that allowed us to launch Purple, because with this machine we could get the scale where we could sell a $1,000 mattress profitably and crank out enough that we could support an internet-sized business.
It's amazing.
And that was really what launched
And does it
Purple.
just stamp down and...
Stamps, stamping we're not stamping into anything, but these two, call it 4,000 to 5,000
injects
pound
into the
plates
mold,
closed together, hundreds of thousands of pressure. Almost think of it as the way like a Belgian waffle maker would clamp down. It then shoots the material through tens of thousands of pounds of pressure of molten gel, which goes in, sets, opens up, it creates a vacuum. So you hear this loud just pop as the plates open, and then all the technology we built to extract and turn that into a mattress. And then those
plates are able to adjust into the different size mattresses.
So today we actually cut them down. So we make one size.
Oh, okay.
But what's remarkable about this material is it can be completely remelted down. So what gets cut off gets literally right back into the machines and right back into the products. There's almost no waste.
Wow.
And through the years,
it's all being recycled in, and you don't have any waste. I mean, basically, it's just going right back in. That's fantastic.
Very, very little waste.
That's awesome.
That's when I joined. I mean, we had this ability to make the product. We did this incredible viral marketing campaign. So at a time,
got some good TV commercials out there.
Really, it was YouTube. So Dollar Shave Club had done some creative.
Mike Dubin.
Had done some creative work. But YouTube was still very underutilized. Tremendous opportunity for arbitrage. We partnered with a great local company here, Harmon Brothers. And it was a really rigorous process.
Didn't you have Goldilocks in one of your commercials?
It was Goldilocks. So we hired a local comedy troupe, Studio C.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And this great marketing firm, and we had some great marketing talent in-house. What wouldn't be known, because I mean, this was a bet the farm video. This was our entire marketing budget. And I mean, let's take everything we've got and make one 4-minute explainer video, load it onto YouTube of all places to try to sell mattresses. I mean, it was a little absurd.
So we have thousands of people watching this right now, and that's what they all want to do. What's the magic? How did you nail it? How did Mike Dubin get that one commercial? What is it about that magic in production? Is it the producer? Is it the visionary? Is it just a bunch of variables? Because 99% of these stunts, they don't actually do so well. Tell us how you get to that 1%. This is so important.
So now some of it is timing. It was not very crowded at the time. which meant we could get marketing efficiencies and reach in a way that today you'd have to just pay buckets of money to get into.
Sure.
So we found a marketing channel to arbitrage,
Right.
and we created content specific to that channel.
Right.
What wouldn't be obvious coming in is how much rigor went into that. So start with the comedy troupe. Comedians are actually great test and learn marketers.
Sure.
I mean, any great comedian, even the most famous one, they'll show up at some local comedy club and go on stage unannounced.
Sure.
Why? They're trying out new material.
Yeah. Yeah, they want to see audience
no
reaction.
No one paid for that.
Audience reaction. Back to quantitative, qualitative. Quantum.
It is. So we worked with the comedy troupe. We worked with the creative agency. Our opening line of the video, which by the way is kind of a hostile line.
Right.
Here's a simple test to show you why your mattress is awful.
Right.
I don't know if your mattress is awful or not. I don't know what you're sleeping on. I mean, that's a poke in the eye opening. Sure. But it got the attention, and immediately, then immediately went into this preposterous raw eggs dropping on a mattress, and you drew.
Stop right there. So that's called interruptive advertising. It's so important because a lot of people go right into their message sometimes. Hit them in the face. You got to slap them. Every time I start my show, welcome to Impact. You got to do something that interrupts. If you don't interrupt, ask a question. That's what you did. You asked a question. Tell me how your mattress performs, and then that gives you the opportunity to tell the story. So that's fantastic.
So what wouldn't be known on that interruption is we had dozens of opening lines that we tried.
Right.
And we put them out there.
Right.
And we tested them before we put any money behind it. We had dozens of cuts. We had dozens of iterations.
Right.
So we tested the heck out of this video.
I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
Before it ever went live. So by the time we actually turned the money machine on behind it, we knew we were onto something.
That's huge. That's huge.
And it's the comedic way. This is what any great comedian does. So hire great people, use the process, leverage their talent, test the heck out of it, so that you at least have a fighting chance that by the time you get to actually going to scale, you've got a winning formula.
And I think humor is so important to everything, right? Like you hit that psychological nerve that we all have in common, that we all are desperate to get more of, and to have humor interlaced into your content is going to build faster trust with your audience. So think about humor and how you're using humor in the work that you do. Don't be so serious, but don't offend people either. So I like that balance.
Although it's flashing forward now a couple years, humor is a double-edged sword.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I love humor.
Especially in these times.
I love humor. Humor often can, if you can be self-deprecating or you're self-aware, humor can drive humility.
Yes.
Humor allows you to touch otherwise taboo subjects. There's a lot of things about humor that can engender a relationship with the consumer, and that whimsy is great.
Yeah.
But there's a far cry between sophomoric humor in the school of Monty Python and and elevated whimsy.
Sure.
Our original stuff indexed much more on the young male sort of.
Sure.
I love Monty Python, but and there is it's almost like a dopamine response of when you get this kind of funny and you get high engagement and people want to go into it, you want to do more.
Right.
And we almost, the temptation was every video had to be funnier than the one before.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And we had to always have this funny hook.
Right.
And we put a lot of time and energy into funny.
Right.
Funny was never the point.
Right.
The point was to explain and use humor to educate. What the heck is this crazy material?
Yeah.
Not funny for funny's sake.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And by the time we got through this journey, we forgot who we were.
Sure.
We forgot why we were doing this.
Right.
And here, as we're going more premium, where by the way, your premium buyer is going to be a little bit older.
Sure.
Is going to index a little more toward her.
Right.
While we're selling stuff under the guise of young adolescent male humor.
Right.
Is a mismatch.
Right.
Even our email. When I joined, if you signed up for our email program, the opening email you got was, "Whoa!
You're right.
Congratulations!
Right.
You're now going to be the first to see our new ads and content as it's launched."
Sure. Yes.
That's what a media company says.
Right.
So there's a risk reward on when it works. You want to do more, but you can never forget why you're doing it and what the role of the content is. And you don't want to lose your roots.
And talk a little bit about how integrated plays into your marketing, because obviously you do video very well, but your website, the customer service, the experience in the store, you have an integrated approach to your communications. And I think it's so important that the audience understands this. I mean, we've got thousands of brands involved with the IMA, and there are a few that really understand the integrated process. And I think in order to not just be successful, but to be significant in your industry and to be sustainable, you have to understand the integrated business of marketing.
Yeah.
Tell us how you're able to hit all the notes, because I visited your website one time and I can't stop seeing purple ads. You guys know everything. Like really, really good integrated marketing. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sorry about that.
No problem. I'm just impressed by how good you are at it.
Yeah, so it starts with the customer. I mean, really, that's where it always has to start. And we put a lot of effort into journey mapping and understanding when and where the customer engages. And think about it, a mattress, I mean, it's almost like buying a car.
Right.
This is and we're on the premium side.
Right.
That's where the battle is won. That's where all the revenue is. If you're going to spend $2,000 on a mattress, it's likely going to be a 3 to 4 week process. It's a considered purchase. You're going to engage with us many times, likely through many channels.
Sure.
Likely in the real world as well, not just online. You're going to want to go try it somewhere, feel it for yourself.
Right.
There's a choice of where you buy it. You can buy it from us. You can buy it from one of our great retail partners. And what are the pros and cons of that? So there's a whole journey to go through.
Yeah.
And you've got to start there.
Right.
You've got to start there. Part of which means even just going with the data stuff we started talking about on funnel metrics. I mean, think about it. We are on our website trying to engage with you. We're going to aggressively push you off our website into one of our retail partner stores where we're going to give up margin. That means our conversion metrics on the website we're directly trying to harm.
Right.
I mean, that's an abandonment.
Right, that would be abandonment.
But if you step out and say, how do I get the sale with the consumer? How do I get them educated? How do I get the experience? At some level, I don't care where they buy.
Right.
Just I want to get them into a product that makes sense for them, and a lot of the time that's ours. You've got to start there.
Right.
Because the data and the way you measure success is going to give you a lot of reasons to not do what's right for the consumer and do optimization at the channel or or at the marketing level. And that often gets in the way of the consumer. So that's just the starting point.
Well, I'm just super honored to have you here again, Joe, and we're going to now take a quick journey around the showroom, and you're going to take us into a couple areas of your intellectual property, and I want to round up this interview with a couple thoughts. One, think about your business, whether you're in a professional service or you're a manufacturer or you're somewhere in the supply chain. What sort of intellectual property do you have? What makes you different, and what can you use to protect your business but also grow your asset? This is an incredible version of that that we can all learn from. So I just want to say that that's so huge. Also, look at how Joe fell into analytics and marketing in this quantum school. So like you may be going to a university known for something. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to exit the university with that. And it's what do you find through that experience. Think about how your parents, be it art or music, have played into your life's work, because those are the things that you have to mix into your own formula to create your own life success and your own life work. Joe, I want to end with one question. What rhymes with purple?
What rhymes with purple?
Is there any word that rhymes with purple?
Well, there is the purple nurple.
There is. Okay. By the way, as one of the top 16 words that don't rhyme with anything, purple is actually listed in that. Did you know that?
I did not know
that.
And
as Rob Hutter, who's also on our board, told me that purple is one of the few words that rhymes with anything, and I thought that was really interesting. So thank you again for being on our show. And Joe is available as a mentor as well. We'll share his information. He's a busy guy. He's the CEO of a very successful publicly traded business here in Utah. And I'm just really thankful and grateful that you're part of our journey at the IMA. And we'll be back at you with the next Impact show. And let's go on a little showroom tour next.
Let's do it.
All right, thanks.
So we have 13 of these branded showrooms now, and really the idea is an opportunity to really show off the technology, show what's so different about Purple, and bring the full brand story to life across our complete assortment.
Right, it's beautiful.
So we'll start with some of the tech itself.
Okay.
So this is our grid. This is what is inside of our mattresses.
Right.
And one of the things you'll notice is how squishy and easy it gives away. And the whole idea here is where you have pressure points, it's really easy to push in. Locally, where you have pressure, it's probably the softest mattress on the market.
Yeah, I feel that.
Where you have surface area, little plate here you can see, and you press down, across the network of all these little columns, it actually creates an incredible amount of support across your body. And this is what you want.
Right.
If the mattress is too soft, your body's going to hammock and you're going to wake up with back or neck pain.
Sure, sure.
If it's too firm, while that's good for structural support of your body, it's uncomfortable, and then you don't sleep well and you wake up uncomfortable and your pressure points get sore. So how do you get the right combination of where you get the structural integrity of the alignment of your body, but also have the pressure relief and shape to your natural curves?
And I also
That's
noticed
the idea.
It feels very cool here. Is that just this, or is there air circulation in here too?
That's actually part of the benefit of having the grid, is where foams, which look a lot like a sponge, absorb moisture and heat just like a sponge does. The nature of having the grid is it just allows the air and moisture to flow away. And we've actually got a cool little demo of that here. So here you've got some traditional memory foam on the right. And on the left, and what you can't tell on the camera, is we've got air blowing through. And I feel nothing here, and I feel air flowing through here. Especially with women who often bundle up, they go to bed cold, they're trying to warm up. We're like little natural ovens. We're radiating heat all night. And what happens is the bed's absorbing the heat, and around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., all that heat has nowhere to go but back at you, and you're actually increasing the temperature under your sheets, and that's where
so this is great, because you just described my wife and I completely. She's like bundled up, I'm like, it is hot in here. And this is like a double win here, because now I'm staying cool, but at the same time, given the distribution of the grid, if she's moving over here, I'm not going to feel anything here.
That's right. They call that motion transfer, and that is a big benefit as well. That what's happening on one side of the bed is not getting transferred over. And we have terrific motion transfer.
Well, one of the things, Joe, I noticed in your showroom is you're like some showrooms I've been into, mattress showrooms, it's just a bunch of mattresses. It's like white mattress, it's like one time I'll see like a gray one. It's like, okay, that's interesting. But all your mattresses here have sheets on them. Can you tell us a little bit about that? It feels cleaner.
It does. And if you think about it, who sells their product by hiding it? But this is the natural domain of a mattress. Most people have no idea what mattress they're even sleeping on. Because you never look at it again. Who lays on a naked mattress?
Never.
You might lay naked on a mattress, but it's a So we've created an environment that's clean, that feels familiar, it makes sense. I mean, it's awkward enough laying down in public. And we started this before the pandemic. But we change our sheets daily. We create a familiar environment.
That's awesome.
And by the way, we sell a lot of sheets too, because these sheets are custom designed to really
so you guys make your own sheets too?
We have our own sheets made to our specification.
Okay, got it. How about the pillow?
The pillows is a whole nother area of opportunity for us. So our pillows are made by us. The pillow you see here, which is our Harmony pillow, I'll take it back. You can see this amazing grid texture in here, in this case hexagons. So it's a breeze mesh fabric. It's a fabric that allows very high airflow, again, something you really want so you don't get hot. It's got a grid layer all the way around underneath, and it's this amazing tapering at the edges. So it feels like a pillow.
That's wonderful.
Even though it's got this gel. Inside we have an organic, hypoallergenic Talalay latex core that has just incredible bounce and feel to it. And you put it all together, we genuinely believe this is the greatest pillow ever invented.
That is awesome.
And fortunately, our customers agree.
Oh, that's awesome.
With Purple, part of what's interesting is over half of the pillows and cushions we sell are to customers who haven't bought a mattress from us. And we think that's pretty cool. It means they're actually not just buying this as an accessory to the mattress. Our pillows are standing on their own. It's a great introduction to the brand. And it's a great way for us to actually start to build lifetime value in a category. Buying a mattress is kind of one and done. So this has been a big part of our strategy. And you can see our Harmony pillows. This is actually our original Purple pillow, which is a 10-pound pillow. More of a niche play, but a life changer for certain sleep styles, especially back and stomach sleepers. And our newest addition, which I think is really cool, is our Twin Cloud. So this is an entry-level pillow. It doesn't actually have any gel in it at all, but everything we do, we try to think about how can we make it better? How can we reinvent? And the novelty here is, you'll notice it has
Sure.
odd little sleeve on the side,
Yep,
which,
yep.
by the way, is great to just put your arm
Oh, that's
through.
great. Yeah.
But one side, you'll see here, says softer. If you unzip it here, you can actually open it up. Becomes almost like a body pillow, and people
wow.
use it that way. And you flip it around and re-zip it. The zipper is offset,
Right.
such that when you zip it up, it makes it actually much tighter. And if I can get it in here.
Oh yeah.
Suddenly, exact same pillow
firmer
is
now.
substantially firmer than the other way. It's two pillows in one.
Right.
Again, even on
It's
something
like that interchangeable jacket where you could have two different, designs. I mean, you got
that's
two
right.
different types of pillow.
And it actually has a gel coil polyfill.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a great pillow. It's at a price point that why wouldn't you buy it?
Sure.
And that was the idea. So
Right.
even on something on the normal pillow,
Right.
we've tried to find ways to innovate and make something better.
Constantly innovating. Remember that, IMA members. And what is this? Clothing?
So
My pajamas are now purple pajamas.
we came up with really nice premium sheets. We call them our soft stretch sheets.
Right.
And really the idea is, because the mattress has so much give, we wanted premium sheets that, I'll go in here, that move and shape and stretch to the sheet. So it actually makes the mattress better. And they're really comfortable.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things of, hey, they're so comfortable we could wear them.
Right.
So we did that. We
Sure,
partnered with Sleepy Jones. They've got some great silhouettes and a great pajama company, and actually made two of their, one in men's, one in women's,
Very cool.
two of their silhouettes using our actual soft stretch sheet fabric. So this is literally a pajama made out of our sheets. Little bit of a marketing play here, but the idea here is literally they're so comfortable you can wear them. And I will tell you, I wear these pajamas every night.
And I
Probably
notice
more
here-
information than you needed to know, but
Yeah. It's all good, Joe. We're here learning about you. And we have purple dog beds.
purple dog beds,
And we have
weighted
what are these,
blankets.
blankets.
You got it.
Wow. So you're hitting all the nodes around the sleeping.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. And then why don't we end with this bed? Because this is where I want to go. I want
Absolutely.
to lay down and recline. Do you mind if I try that?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. Let's together.
Sure.
Okay. First time I've gone to bed with an adult man. Okay, here we go. At least from what I remember.
Exactly.
Maybe in college.
Exactly. So this is our Ascent adjustable base,
Oh, that is awesome.
which is custom designed to our mattress.
Right.
And our mattress flexes really well. So you can take your Harmony pillow, take our amazing
Oh,
soft
this
stretch
is
sheets,
great.
put
Whoa.
this is our Hybrid Premier 4-inch,
Now,
our
this is
top of
next
the line
level.
mattress.
Can the
And-
mattress make it to where we don't fight over the remote, like what we're gonna watch tonight? Have you figured that out
We've
yet?
not figured that out
Okay,
yet. But
see,
this
it's
is
constant innovation.
Constant
Yes,
innovation.
yes,
We
there's-
will work on that just for you. We'll call it the Xenon.
Perfect. Okay, the Xenon solution, fantastic.
You got it.
Well,
You
with
got it.
that, Joe, I never thought in a million years I'd be ending up in bed with you, but I'm so glad I am. And with that, think different, be funny, humor's important, okay? Don't take life so seriously. This is the IMA. Thank you again, Joe, for this great interview.
Thank
It's been
you.
a pleasure having
and most
you.
importantly, sleep well.